My name is Evelyn Carter, and I am 36 years old. 3 weeks ago, my mother walked into my office for the first time in 10 years. She wore pearl earrings, beige heels, and the same careful smile she used every Sunday at church when she wanted people to think she was kind. In her hand was an envelope. Not flowers, not a letter, a bill. She placed it on my desk and said, "Your father and I believe it is time for you to repay what you took from this family." The total was $633,400. She had underlined it twice. I looked at the number, then I opened the bottom drawer of my desk and pulled out the red folder. My mother brought a bill, I brought proof. Inside her envelope were 6 lines. Money stolen from Carter Hardware, $112,900. 10 years of interest, $86,000. Business losses after the scandal, $160,000. Legal and accounting costs, $24,500. Family reputation damages, $250,000. Total, $633,400. She had written it like an invoice. She did not ask about my son. She did not ask where I had been for 10 years. She did not say, "I'm sorry we called you a thief." She only folded her hands, looked at my office and said, "This family deserves closure." Closure, that is a beautiful word for people who buried you alive and came back for the headstone. I placed her bill on the left side of my desk. Then I placed the red folder on the right. It was old now, the corners had softened. The elastic band was stretched from years of being opened, closed, hidden, and opened again. My mother stared at it. "What is that?" I said, "The part of the story you forgot I kept." Before I tell you what happened in that office, I need to take you back to Briar Glen, Kentucky, a town with 1 hardware store, 2 churches, 1 diner, and no secrets that stayed secrets for more than a weekend. Unless the secret belonged to the right family. Then everybody helped carry it. My father, Richard Carter, owned Carter Hardware on Main Street. His father had owned it before him. And his father before that. 3 generations of Carters sold nails, paint, storm doors, fishing line, lawnmower blades. And the idea that our family was honest. That last product was the best seller. My mother, Helen, kept the books for the store and the reputation of the family. She knew every unpaid invoice, every church rumor, every family that was struggling quietly, and every woman who needed to be prayed for in public and judged in private. People called her gracious. I called her mom. For a long time, I thought those meant the same thing. My older brother, Caleb, was the future. That was not a compliment. That was his official role in our house. He would inherit the store. He would carry the Carter name. He would marry the right woman. He would sit beside my father in church and shake hands with men who had already forgiven him for things he had not done yet. I was the useful one. I worked the register after school. I counted drawers before I learned how to drive. I memorized vendor codes before I knew how to apply eyeliner. If Caleb forgot to lock the back door, I checked it. If Caleb lost an invoice, I found it. If Caleb made a mess, I translated it into numbers. My mother called him charming. She called me responsible when Caleb got a C in business math. We went out for steak because he was trying. When I got a scholarship letter from the University of Louisville, my father said, "That is wonderful, Evie. But who is going to help your mother with payroll?" I smiled like that did not hurt. Caleb had birthday parties with rented tents and sheet cakes with his name in blue frosting. I had quiet dinners where my mother said, "You are too old to need a fuss." When Caleb wrecked my father's truck, he was shaken. When I scratched the side of my mother's car at 17, I was careless. Love in our house had different definitions depending on which child needed it. I left for college with 2 suitcases, a used laptop, and a note from my mother tucked inside my Bible. It said, "Remember where you came from." For years I thought she meant home. Later, I realized she meant obedience. I studied accounting because numbers made sense. Numbers did not smile at church and whisper in kitchens. Numbers did not pick favorites. For 4 years, I came home every summer and worked at Carter Hardware for free. My mother said family did not invoice family. Caleb called himself assistant manager and spent most afternoons leaning on the counter, flirting with women buying paint rollers. I handled payroll. I reconciled statements. He learned how to look like he belonged. I learned how to clean up after him. After college, I planned to move to Lexington. I had an interview with a small accounting firm. Nothing fancy, just a real job with a real title and a desk that did not smell like motor oil. Then my father called me on a Tuesday morning. "Your mother is overwhelmed," he said. "Caleb needs structure. We need you here. We need you." That was all it took. I came home because I was stupid enough to think being needed was the same as being chosen. My mother hugged me at the back door and said, "See? You always come back when it matters." Caleb slapped my shoulder and said, "Good. Maybe now the paperwork will stop screaming." My father smiled. For 1 week, I let myself believe I had a place. I took over the store's books in March. By April, I had found missing receipts. By May, I had found cash refunds with no returned merchandise. By June, I found vendor checks deposited late, split oddly, and corrected by hand. At first, I blamed old systems. Then I blamed bad habits. Then the numbers stopped letting me lie. The store credit card had charges that made no sense. Restaurants in Louisville, hotel rooms in Nashville, a liquor store 2 counties over, a hunting supply website, and 1 jewelry store in Lexington. Every charge had Caleb's approval code. Every missing receipt had been filed under his initials. I stared at the screen until the office lights turned off automatically. There is a moment when you discover the truth and still try to protect yourself from knowing it. I printed the statements, then I printed the refund logs. Then I pulled the bank deposits. Then I created a spreadsheet: date, amount, account, vendor, authorization, notes. By midnight, the missing total was $86,420. By Friday, it was $112,900. I did not sleep the night I found the jewelry store receipt. $8,700, engagement ring. Paid with the Carter Hardware business line. Caleb had proposed to Marissa 3 weeks earlier. My mother had cried over that ring at Sunday dinner. My father had toasted the future of the family. I had clapped with hands that had unknowingly paid for it. The next morning, I asked my father to come in before opening. He arrived at 6:42 carrying black coffee and smelling like cold air and sawdust. I had already placed the manila folder on his desk. Not the red folder, not yet. A plain manila folder, the first one. "Dad," I said, "Caleb is stealing from the store." My father looked at me for a long time, not angry, not confused, tired. That was the first thing that scared me. He opened the folder. He read page 1, then page 2, then the jewelry receipt. His face did not change enough. That is how I knew some part of him already knew. "How much?" he asked. "At least $112,000. He closed the folder. Then he said the sentence that should have taught me everything. "Your mother cannot know." I blinked. "Dad, this is fraud." His jaw tightened. "He is your brother. He is stealing. He is your brother." The room went silent. Not empty, silent, heavy, silent. The kind of silence where one person is waiting for the other to become reasonable by becoming smaller. My father told me he would handle it. He told me to keep copies private. He told me not to bring shame on the family. Then he said, "Give me the folder." I did. That was my mistake. 2 weeks later, Caleb announced that he and Marissa had set a wedding date. My mother cooked roast beef. My father opened wine. Marissa held out her hand so everyone could admire the ring again. Caleb watched me from across the table. He smiled with his mouth, not his eyes. After dinner, I followed him onto the back porch. "You need to pay the store back," I said. He laughed, not because he was nervous, because he was offended. "You really think you caught something?" "I have the records. You had records," he said. The porch light flickered above him. Cicadas screamed in the trees. I remember that sound better than I remember my own breathing. "This store is going to be mine anyway," Caleb said. "It belongs to Dad. It belongs to the Carter name. That does not mean you can steal from it." His smile disappeared. "You always do this." "Do what?" "Act like being good with numbers makes you better than everybody." I stared at him. "No. It just makes it harder for you to lie to me." 2 days later, my mother called me into the kitchen. Her voice was sweet, too sweet. "Evelyn, come sit down." My father sat at the table. Caleb sat beside him. Marissa was there too, crying into a napkin like someone had died. On the table was the manila folder I had given my father. But the folder was thinner. The bank statements were gone. The jewelry receipt was gone. The highlighted refund logs were gone. Only my spreadsheet remained. My mother looked at me with a face I had seen her use at funerals. Hurt, holy, certain. "How could you do this to your brother?" I looked at my father. He looked at the table. Caleb said I had fabricated the spreadsheet. He said I was jealous because he was inheriting the store. He said I had always hated that he was the one people loved. Then he leaned back and said, "If money is missing, maybe Evelyn should explain why she came home so fast when Dad called." Marissa gasped. My mother covered her mouth. My father said nothing. I said, "Dad?" "He did not move, Dad. Tell them." My mother turned to him. "Richard?" He looked up slowly, and in his eyes I saw the choice before he spoke. "I think Evelyn may have misunderstood some things." Misunderstood, that word crawled into my life and lived there for 10 years. My mother stood up. "You are sick with jealousy." I laughed once because my body did not know what else to do. "Mom, he stole from the store." "No," she said. "You tried to destroy this family because you could not stand that your brother was happy." Caleb lowered his head, but I saw him smile. My father whispered, "Evie, let's not make this worse." Worse, as if worse was me speaking. Not Caleb stealing, not my father hiding proof, not my mother choosing the story that kept her favorite child clean. I stood up, my chair scraped the floor. My mother pointed toward the hall. "Pack your things." I packed 2 bags. My mother watched from my bedroom doorway, arms crossed, lips pressed flat. She did not cry. That was how I knew she believed herself. On the porch, my father handed me a folded note. "I can't fix this tonight," he whispered. "Just give it time." I opened the note in my car, 3 streets away. It said, "Do not make this public. It would kill your mother. I know you think you're right. Please be careful, Dad." Not "I believe you," not "I am sorry," not "Caleb lied," just a warning dressed like concern. I kept that note. I did not know why then. Some part of me knew paper would matter later. I drove 3 hours to Lexington and slept in the parking lot of a 24-hour grocery store. I had $417, 2 bags, 1 dead phone charger, and a family that had just decided I was easier to lose than Caleb was to confront. At sunrise, I bought a red accordion folder from a pharmacy. It cost $3.99. I wrote Carter Family Records on the tab. Then I placed my father's note inside. Item 1, that was the beginning. I did not keep the folder because I wanted revenge. I kept it because when everyone around you calls you a liar, paper becomes the only witness that does not change its story. Year 1 was humiliation. Caleb told people I stole from Carter Hardware. My mother told church women I had always struggled with jealousy. My father said nothing, which was how he lied. 3 accounting firms called the store for references. None called me back. 1 woman told me quietly, "Small towns talk." I heard the first stranger call me a thief at a gas station. She did not say it to my face. She said it to the cashier. "There's Richard Carter's daughter," the one who took from her own family. I stood there holding a loaf of bread and a bottle of cheap shampoo. I wanted to disappear. Instead, I went home and wrote it down. Item 2, home was a rented room behind a retired nurse's house. The carpet smelled like lemon cleaner and old smoke. The window jammed when it rained. I kept my clothes in plastic bins. Every night I checked job listings until my eyes burned. Every morning I woke up and reminded myself I had not stolen anything. Some mornings I almost believed me. My first real job after the accusation was as an overnight billing clerk at a nursing home. The pay was terrible, the hours were worse, but nobody there knew the Carter name. Nobody looked at me like I had taken something from them. I worked from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., processing insurance claims while the hallways smelled like disinfectant and oatmeal. That job saved me because it brought me to Adeline Brooks. She was 78, 5 feet tall, and built like a courtroom verdict. She owned 3 assisted living homes and came in every Thursday at 6 a.m. to argue about invoices. The first thing she ever said to me was, "Someone here is double billing my residents." She was right. By noon, I had found the error. By Thursday, I found 4 more. By the next month, Adeline offered me a job. Not glamorous, payroll, bookkeeping, vendor contracts, compliance forms, but she paid me fairly. She looked me in the eye, and when I showed her proof, she did not ask if I was jealous. "Numbers don't care whose son he is," Adeline told me once. I almost cried at my desk. She pretended not to notice. That became our rhythm. She gave me work. I gave her clean books. She gave me blunt advice. I gave her systems. For the first time in my life, I was not useful because someone wanted to use me. I was useful because I was good. I sent my parents a Christmas card that first year. I do not know why. Maybe habit. Maybe grief. Maybe some small, stupid piece of me still thought my mother would open it and remember I was her daughter. The card came back 11 days later. Red stamp, returned to sender. I held it for a long time, then I put it in the red folder. Item 3. I called my father on his birthday. No answer. I left a message. "Hi Dad, it's Evie. I hope you're doing okay. I know things are bad. I just wanted to say happy birthday." He never called back. 2 days later, my mother posted a photo on Facebook. "Mom, Dad, Caleb, Marissa, dinner at the new steakhouse." Caption, "My whole world." I printed it. Item 4. By spring, Caleb and Marissa were married. I learned it from Facebook. The wedding was at First Baptist. White flowers, live band. My mother in lavender. My father in a new suit. Caleb smiling like no one had ever accused him of anything. I was not invited. I did not expect to be. That did not make it hurt less. I sent a gift anyway, a set of linen napkins. Ivory, monogrammed with Marissa's new initials. The package came back unopened. Tape untouched, returned to sender. I sat on the floor of my rented room, holding the box, and laughed until I cried. Then I filed it. Item 5. Gift returned. No note. Year 2, Adeline promoted me. My mother told someone at church I was bouncing between jobs. The woman told my old high school friend Rachel. Rachel messaged me privately. "I thought you should know your mom says you're not doing well and that the family is praying you will admit what you did." I stared at the message for 10 minutes. Then I printed it. Item 6. That was how the folder grew. Not because I wanted it to, because they kept feeding it. Returned cards, ignored calls, screenshots, rumors. Half apologies that were not apologies. Every time I thought the story could not get smaller or meaner, someone found a new way to fold me into a shape that made Caleb look innocent. Caleb took over Carter Hardware in year 3. My father did not retire officially. He just started staying home more. Caleb changed the sign out front. Carter Hardware became Carter and Son Hardware. I saw the photo online. My father stood beside Caleb. My mother held scissors from the ribbon cutting. Caption, "A proud family legacy continues." I saved it. Item 7. A proud family legacy. I had built the payroll system they still used. I had cleaned the vendor accounts. I had caught the missing money. I had carried that store on my back through college breaks and holiday rushes. But in the picture, there was no trace of me. That was when I understood erasure is not silence. Sometimes, erasure smiles for a camera. I met Daniel in year 3. He was charming in a way that felt like warmth at first. He liked that I was serious. He said I made him want to be better. I was lonely enough to believe him. When I became pregnant, he stayed for 6 weeks. Then his phone calls got shorter. Then his excuses got longer. Then he disappeared. Noah was born on a rainy Tuesday in November. 7 pounds, 2 ounces, dark hair, furious lungs. I held him against my chest and thought, "You are never going to wonder if you are wanted." Adeline came to the hospital with a blanket, a bag of muffins, and a glare that scared 2 nurses. She held Noah like he was made of spun glass. I mailed my mother a birth announcement. Inside was a photo of Noah wrapped in a blue blanket. On the back I wrote, "His name is Noah Richard Carter. He has dad's eyes." I do not know why I added that. Maybe I wanted to give my father a door. The envelope came back unopened. Returned to sender, item 8. That one broke me in a new place. She could hate me. She could call me a thief. She could pretend I had ruined the family. But how do you mail back a baby? I sat at my kitchen table while Noah slept in a laundry basket because I could not afford a crib yet. Then I put the envelope in the red folder. My hands were shaking. Adeline became Noah's grandmother without asking permission. She bought him socks with ducks on them. She kept a crib in her office. She fired a vendor while bouncing him on her hip. When he was 2, she taught him to say invoice. When he was 3, she told him taxes were proof civilization had not completely collapsed. Noah called her Addie. My mother did not know his voice. My father did not know his laugh. Caleb did not know the nephew whose birth announcement he had helped send back. But every few months, someone from Briar Glen would find a way to remind me that I was still the villain. A woman from church messaged me once, "Your mother looks so tired, you should make things right." I printed it, item 9. Make things right. Those words followed me for years. Nobody asked Caleb to make things right. Nobody asked my father why he stayed silent. Nobody asked my mother why the daughter who had done payroll since 13 suddenly became a thief, only after accusing her son. Small towns love a simple story, especially when the complicated one would make everyone uncomfortable. Year 4, Adeline opened a 4th care home, then a 5th. She had the instincts. I had the systems. I built compliance checklists, payroll structures, vendor controls, billing audits. I knew what missing money looked like. I knew what weak controls allowed. Carter Hardware had trained me. My family had taught me exactly what not to trust. "You have a gift," Adeline said one night. We were eating vending machine pretzels in an office at 11 p.m. I laughed. For paperwork? For seeing where things crack before they break. Nobody in my family had ever called that a gift. They had called it difficult, suspicious, cold, jealous. Adeline called it valuable. In year 5, I sent one last letter to my father. Not my mother, just him. I wrote 3 pages. I told him about Noah. I told him about my job. I told him I still had his note. I told him I did not need him to fix everything. I just needed him to tell the truth once. The letter came back opened. That was worse than unopened. The envelope had been sliced carefully, then resealed with clear tape. Someone had read it. Someone had held my words. Someone had looked at the photo of Noah at his preschool picnic. Then someone had sent it back. I filed it with a label, item 10. Letter opened, resealed, returned. Possible reader. Dad, I cried in the bathroom at work for 12 minutes. Then Adeline knocked once and said, "Are you done being polite to people who bury you?" I opened the door. She handed me a paper towel. Not a tissue, a paper towel. "That family took your name and tried to hand you shame instead," she said. Do not confuse their confidence with truth. That night, I reorganized the red folder. Tabs by year, labels in black ink, evidence in plastic sleeves. I wrote dates on everything: cards, screenshots, voicemail transcripts, returned envelopes. My father's note, the letter with the clear tape. I was not building a case. I was building a memory that could not be bullied. Year 6, Caleb's store started struggling. I heard it through Rachel. Vendors were cutting credit. Inventory was thin. Caleb blamed the economy. My mother blamed what Evelyn did. My father stopped coming to church for a while. That part one only learned because 3 different women messaged me as if my father's shame was my responsibility. Caleb posted a photo of Carter and Son Hardware one morning. The caption said, 10 years of carrying the family after betrayal. 10 years? It had been 6, but lies like round numbers. People commented hearts, praying for you. You are strong. Family businesses are hard. One woman wrote, some people never understand what they destroy. I printed the post, item 11. I wanted to comment. I wanted to write, sell the engagement ring. I wanted to post the receipt. I wanted to burn the whole clean version of their story to the ground. Instead, I closed my laptop. Noah was asleep on the couch with one sock missing. Adeline's care homes needed quarterly reports. My life was small, tired, and mine. I chose mine. By year 7, Brookshaven Care had 12 facilities across Kentucky and Tennessee. Adeline was 85 and refused to admit Stairs had become personal enemies. I was operations director, then co-owner. She made the decision in a lawyer's office while I sat there blinking. You built the spine of this company, she said. I just gave it a name, I said. I do not know how to thank you. She said, do not become sentimental. It makes people sloppy. Then she slid the papers across the table. For the first time, my name was attached to something that could not be taken by a family vote at a kitchen table. I signed. My hands shook. Adeline pretended not to see. The sale offer came 2 years later. A regional healthcare group wanted Brookshaven $38 million. I read the email 3 times because I thought there had been a mistake. After taxes, debts, and Adeline's share, my portion would be $9. $6 million. I did not feel rich. I felt like gravity had changed. When the local paper wrote about the sale, they called me a former Briar Glen woman. Not daughter, not sister, former. The article used a photo from a charity event. Me in a navy blazer, Adeline beside me. Noah in the background, eating a cookie with frosting on his chin. That article traveled faster than anything honest ever had. 3 days later, Caleb viewed my LinkedIn profile. The next week, Marissa followed the Brookshaven business page. Then Rachel texted, your mom asked about you at church. First time in years she wanted to know if the article was really about you. I read that twice, then I wrote on a sticky note. They saw the number. I did not file it, it was weather. The first message came from Caleb. Hey Ev, been too long. Hope you're good, too long. As if time had wandered off by accident. As if he had not fed my name to a town and watched them chew. I did not reply. 2 days later, my mother texted, family wounds should not last forever. I screenshotted it. Item 12. No apology. My father called the next morning. I let it go to voicemail. Evie, it's Dad. I saw the article. I always knew you were smart. Your mother wants to talk. Caleb has been under a lot of pressure. Maybe we can all sit down and move forward. I listened 3 times. I always knew you were smart. He had known I was honest too. That had not saved me. Marissa's message came at 11:48 p.m. I had not spoken to her since the night she cried into a napkin over a ring bought with stolen money. Her message said, I know you have no reason to trust me, but they are planning something. Your mom says you need to repay what you took. Caleb says to include interest. I am sorry, I should have said something years ago. Under that message, she sent screenshots. A family group chat. Caleb, she has millions now. She can finally pay back what she stole. Helen, we need to make it official. Evelyn responds to paperwork. Richard, this is not right, Helen. Richard, please. After what she put us through, repayment is the least she can do. Caleb, add interest, add business losses. Add reputation damage, Helen. How much? Caleb, enough to hurt. I sat in my kitchen at midnight while Noah slept upstairs. There it was. Not love, not remorse, a strategy. They were not coming back to know me. They were coming back to charge me. I printed the screenshots. Item 13. Adeline died 6 weeks later, quietly, in her sleep. Which annoyed me, because she would have hated how peaceful it sounded. She left me her fountain pen, her recipe box, and a note that said, "Do not let small people charge rent in your head." I carried that note in my wallet. My mother did not come to the funeral. Maybe she did not know. Maybe she knew and decided there was nothing to gain by attending. Either way, I buried the woman who had shown up for me while my real mother was drafting a bill. Noah cried into my coat at the cemetery. He said, "Addie was my grandma." I said, "Yes, baby, she was." 3 weeks after the funeral, my assistant knocked on my office door. "There is a Helen Carter here to see you. She says she is your mother." For 1 second, the room tilted. Not because I was afraid, because part of me had been standing in that kitchen for 10 years, waiting for my mother to choose the truth. Instead, she came with an envelope. "Send her in," I said. My mother entered slowly. Pearl earrings, beige heels. Pale lipstick, she looked older but not softer. Age had not humbled her, it had only made her careful. She looked around my office, the framed certificates, the glass wall, the photo of Noah and Adeline on my desk. Her eyes paused there. "Evelyn," she said. "Mom, no hug, no tears." She sat before I offered. That was new. She placed the envelope on my desk. I thought it would be best to put everything in writing. Of course she did. People who rewrite history love paperwork when they think they control the paper. I opened it. I read each line. Stolen funds, interest, business losses, legal costs, reputation damages. Total, $633,400. She folded her hands. "Your father worked his whole life for that store. Caleb carried shame for years. This family was damaged by what happened. Now that God has blessed you, it is time to make things right." God as a collection agency. I looked at the paper. Then at her. "You came here to ask me to repay money you say I stole." "I came here," she said, "to finally close a painful chapter." Painful for who? Her mouth tightened. For all of us. That was my mother's gift. She could spread guilt across a room like perfume. I stood, walked to the cabinet behind my desk, opened the bottom drawer and pulled out the red folder. My mother watched it like it might bite. "What is that?" I placed it beside her bill. "You brought your paperwork," I said. "I brought mine," she frowned. "I do not understand." "You will." The elastic snapped softly when I opened it. I took out the first page, my father's note. The paper had yellowed at the edges. "Item 1, I said. "The note Dad handed me the night you threw me out." I read it aloud. "Do not make this public. It would kill your mother. I know you think you are right. Please be careful." My mother's face changed. "Not guilt, calculation, Evelyn." That was a very emotional night. "Yes," I said. So I documented it. I placed the note between us. That was the first time anyone admitted there was something public to make. She looked away, so I opened the next sleeve. Item 2, original bank statements. I laid them out. Item 3, refund logs with no returned merchandise. Another page. Item 4, vendor checks Caleb split and deposited late. Another page. Item 5, I paused, the jewelry store receipt. I placed it on top, $8,700. Engagement ring, Carter Hardware credit line. My mother stared at the receipt. For 1 second, her face forgot what performance was. She knew, maybe not that night, maybe later, maybe years later, when numbers stopped adding up and Caleb's excuses started sounding expensive. But she knew now, and she still came to my office asking me to pay for his theft. "He made mistakes," she said quietly. I laughed once. It came out colder than I expected. "No, he committed fraud. He was young, he was 29, he was under pressure." I was 26 and sleeping in a grocery store parking lot because you called me a thief. She flinched. Good. I pulled out another document. Item 6, gas station incident. First time I heard a stranger call me a thief. Another, Item 7, Facebook post from Caleb, 10 years of carrying the family after betrayal. Another, Item 8, Christmas card returned. Another. Item 9, Noah's birth announcement returned unopened. I placed Noah's envelope in front of her. The red stamp was still clear. Return to sender, my son, I said. Your grandson. My mother reached for it. I moved it back. No. Her hand froze. You do not get to touch the baby picture you mailed back. Her eyes filled. I had seen those tears before. This time I did not hand her a tissue. I was hurt, she whispered. I know, you humiliated us. No, I said. I told the truth. You turned the whole family around so no one had to look at it. She covered her mouth. I knew that gesture. The church gesture. The wounded mother gesture. The woman who wanted sympathy without surrendering control. Do you know what people said? She asked. Yes, I said. I wrote some of it down. I opened another sleeve. Rachel's message. Your exact words. Evelyn has always struggled with jealousy. Another page, church message. Your friend telling me I should make things right. Another page, Caleb's post. Another page, Marissa's screenshots. Her tears stopped when she saw the screenshots. That was how I knew I had reached the real part. You had no right to read private family messages, she said. I almost smiled. Private family messages. After 10 years of public lies, you had no right to bury the truth and send my child's picture back unopened. The office went silent. Outside the glass wall, people walked past with coffee cups and folders. A normal workday. Inside, my mother and I sat between two versions of the same decade. Her bill on the left, my folder on the right. She pointed at the red folder. This is cruel. No, I said. This is what happens when the person you buried kept records. My mother stood after everything we did for you. This is how you repay us? I picked up her bill. That word again. What word? Repay. I tapped the total. You were asking me to repay money Caleb stole. Interest he invented, damages he caused, and reputation he protected by destroying mine. Her lips trembled. Your brother could lose everything. That was the moment. Not when she handed me the bill. Not when she cried. Not when she called the folder cruel. It was when she looked at evidence of what Caleb had done, and still worried only about what Caleb might lose. The door inside me closed. Not slammed. Closed, a clean, quiet click. Then Caleb should sell the ring. She stared at me. The ring? I tapped the jewelry receipt. The one he bought with the money you said I stole. For the first time since she entered my office, my mother had nothing ready. There was no scripture, no tears, no talk of family duty, and no careful phrase. Just silence. The receipt sat between us like a small, ugly truth. I placed her bill back in the envelope. I will not pay this. Evelyn, no. My voice was calm. That surprised both of us. I will not repay money I never stole. I will not fund a version of this family where I am useful again, but still not believed. My mother sat down slowly. For a moment, she looked old. Your father misses you, she said. He had my number. He was afraid. So was I. The words left before I could stop them. And once they were out, I did not regret them. I was 26. I had $417. I slept in my car. I raised a baby without a mother. I buried the woman who became my family while you were making a bill. My mother looked at Noah's photo on my desk. He is handsome. No, I said. She blinked. What? You do not get to start there. Her face tightened. You do not get to skip 10 years and land on polite grandmother words. I picked up the returned birth announcement. You start here, with the baby photo you mailed back. She looked down. I thought if I opened that door. What? Her voice dropped. I thought if I opened it, I would have to admit I was wrong. There it was. Small. Real. Almost human. Then she lifted her chin. But you did turn against us, Evelyn. And the moment was gone. I put the birth announcement back in the folder. You keep choosing the lie because the truth costs you, Caleb. You do not understand a mother's heart. I understand yours perfectly. Her eyes sharpened. That hurt her. Good, you did not lose me because I left, I said. You lost me because you made me prove I was worth less than your favorite son's comfort. She stood again. You have become cold. I looked at the red folder. No, I said. I became documented. She picked up her purse. The envelope stayed on my desk. I held it out. She did not take it. So I placed it on top of her purse. Come back when you can say what happened without editing yourself into the victim. At the door, she turned. For 1 second, I thought she might say it. I'm sorry, 2 words. 10 years late, still something. Instead, she said, Caleb is still your brother. I looked at the receipt, and I was still your daughter. She left. The door closed with a click. Not a slam, a click. I sat alone for a long time. Then I opened Adeline's note in my wallet. Do not let small people charge rent in your head. I laughed then, not loudly, not happily, but enough. That night, I went home and made Noah grilled cheese the way Adeline taught him. Too much butter, diagonal cut. No crust, he said it tasted like Addie's. 2 weeks later, my father called. I almost did not answer. When I did, he said, Evie, I lied. Not hello, not how are you, not your mother is upset, just I lied, I closed my eyes. He cried through most of it. He admitted Caleb stole the money. He admitted I brought him proof. He admitted he removed pages from the manila folder. He admitted he let them blame me because he was afraid the store would collapse, afraid Caleb would leave, afraid my mother would break, afraid the town would know. I listened, then I asked, were you afraid I would leave? Silence. Then he said, I think I counted on it. That hurt more than I expected. Because it was honest, we talked for 23 minutes. I counted. At the end, he asked if he could meet Noah. I said, maybe, not soon. He said, that is more than I deserve. I said, yes, because sometimes truth does not fix the damage. It only stops the bleeding. Caleb never wrote. Marissa sent one more message, 2 words, I'm sorry. I believed her, not because it fixed anything, because unlike my family, she did not ask for something after saying it. My mother sent 1 card, no return address. Inside was a photo of me at 7 years old behind the counter at Carter Hardware. I was holding a calculator bigger than my hand. On the back, my mother had written, I did not know how to love a daughter I could not control. It was not an apology, but it was the first true sentence she had sent me in 10 years. I placed it in the red folder, item 30, then I closed the folder. I do not know if I will ever open it again. Maybe one day Noah will ask why he never met my side of the family. When he does, I will not give him rumors. I will not give him poison. I will give him the truth in order. Not because I want him to hate them, because I never want him to think silence means nothing happened. Here's what I learned. Some families do not want reconciliation. They want access. They do not miss you. They miss what you can fix. They do not regret hurting you. They regret losing the benefits of being close to you. When they come back, they may call it family. They call it duty, forgiveness, faith, and tradition. Sometimes it is none of those things. Sometimes it is just a bill in an envelope. So keep your receipts, not because you are bitter, not because you want revenge, but because one day someone may stand in front of you and try to rewrite the night they abandoned you. And when that day comes, you deserve to remember the truth. My name is Evelyn Carter. My family called me a thief for 10 years. My mother came to my office with a bill for $633,400. She said it was time to repay what I took. I opened the red folder, and for the first time in 10 years, the numbers finally told my side of the story.